my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
It started with just a blurry video. Nothing too dramatic at first glance. You could hear raised voices in the background, but it wasn't clear what was being said. The frame was shaky and the audio distorted, but one thing became obvious the second the child walked into the shot. This wasn't just an argument. This was something deeper, something private, and now it was everywhere. The internet did what it always does. It paused, rewound, zoomed in, broke down every second of the clip. Fans immediately recognized the voices, Teyana Taylor and Iman Shumpert. Once known as one of the most solid couples in entertainment, they had become a symbol of Black love, resilience, and unity. Their love story had played out in music videos, reality shows, and interviews. They danced together, laughed together, raised their daughter together. But now, this moment painted a different picture, one nobody saw coming. It wasn't just that Iman was yelling. It wasn't just that Teyana's voice, though softer, sounded exhausted. It was the way their daughter, little Junie, stood frozen for a second in the doorway. She didn't cry.
She didn't speak.
She just watched. And in that tiny pause, the internet's heart cracked a little. Because that wasn't just a child witnessing her parents argue. That was a child trying to make sense of something she shouldn't have to. No one knows who recorded the video. Some say it was a neighbor. Others believe it was leaked from inside their circle. But it didn't matter where it came from. The damage was done. Comments flooded in. People were shocked,
Confused.
some blamed Iman. Others tried to defend him. But most were just heartbroken that a family so many had admired seemed to be unraveling before their eyes. This wasn't the first time people had whispered about trouble between Teyana and Iman. For over a year, things had been off. Their social media pages, once filled with couple photos and playful captions, had grown quiet. Teyana had posted cryptic quotes about peace, about self-worth, about letting go. Iman had been seen alone at events, smiling, but his eyes said something else. Fans noticed. They always do. Still, nobody wanted to believe it. Not really. Because Teyana and Iman weren't just any celebrity couple. They were different. Real. They made people believe that love could survive the chaos of fame. That two artists could build a home together, raise a child, and stay grounded. But now, with this video, that illusion shattered. And for many, it felt personal. Behind the scenes, sources close to the couple began to speak. Anonymously, of course. One person, who worked with Teyana during her latest film shoot, said she had seemed drained. Beautiful as ever, but distant. She was always checking her phone, the source said, smiling less. She used to bring Junie on set. Lately, she hasn't. Another person, a stylist who had worked with Iman, claimed that he'd been venting about stress. He said fame changed everything, that he missed when things were simple. The pressure of the spotlight, the demands of two creative careers, the responsibilities of parenting, it was all building up. And somewhere in the middle, something snapped. That's what the video captured. Not just a fight, but a moment where years of buried tension boiled over. And their daughter saw it all. People couldn't stop talking about Junie, because she wasn't just a bystander in the video, she was the emotional center of it. Viewers rewound the clip again and again, trying to understand what she must have felt. Confusion.
Fear.
Maybe even guilt. Kids always think it's their fault, even when it isn't. Especially when they see the two people they love most breaking in front of them. Parenting experts weighed in. Children don't need perfection, one said, but they need stability. When a child sees conflict between parents, especially loud, unresolved conflict, it leaves a mark. And if it happens often, that mark can shape how they see love, trust, and safety. That's what made the whole situation feel so heavy. Because it wasn't just about a relationship. It was about what happens when a relationship, built in public, starts falling apart in private, and then, by accident or betrayal, spills into the public eye. Teyana didn't make a statement. Not directly. But a few days after the clip went viral, she posted a black screen on her Instagram story. No words, no emojis, just silence. Then, A few hours later, she posted again a single quote. "Some storms come to clear your path." Iman, too, stayed mostly quiet. But he was spotted at a lounge in Atlanta, alone, wearing a hoodie and keeping his head down. Someone caught a video of him sitting at the bar, scrolling through his phone. The comments on the clip were brutal. People judged his silence, his posture, his expression. But no one really knew what he was thinking or feeling. Meanwhile, fans began revisiting older clips of the couple's reality show. Moments that once felt sweet now looked different. A little too forced. A little too performative. Like they were trying to convince not just the world, but themselves that everything was fine. One clip in particular resurfaced. It showed Teyana and Iman talking about how they keep their bond strong. Teyana said, "We always communicate, even when it's hard." Iman added, "We made a promise that we'd never let the cameras show more love than we give in private." That line hit hard now, because somewhere along the way, that balance had slipped. People started asking bigger questions. How do you maintain love when the whole world is watching? How do you protect your child when your brand is built on family? And most importantly, what happens when love isn't enough? Some fans argued that this was just a bad moment, that every couple fights, that we shouldn't judge based on one clip. But others pushed back. "It's not the fight," one person tweeted. "It's who is watching. That little girl shouldn't have to see that." As the days passed, the conversation evolved. It became less about the drama and more about the reality behind celebrity life, about the pressure to perform happiness, about the toll that takes. Teyana and Iman were talented, hardworking, and deeply admired. But they were also human, and humans break. Part 1 ends here, not with a conclusion, but with a pause. Because the story isn't over. There's more. The silence won't last forever. And when it breaks, we'll be left to piece together what's real, what's lost, and what might still be saved. And as for Junie, she deserves more than just our sympathy. She deserves peace. When the silence finally broke, it didn't come with a press release or a carefully worded Instagram caption. It came during a live event, an award show appearance where Teyana was being honored for her contributions to music and film. She walked on stage in a sleek black gown, composed and glowing, and gave a short, powerful speech. She didn't name names. She didn't address the video. But her closing line said it all. Sometimes you gotta rebuild from the ashes. And not everything that burns down needs to be rebuilt with the same pieces. The crowd cheered, but online, people were stunned. Was this her way of saying it was over? That the dream was done? That she and Iman were no longer a family in the way we all remembered? That night, Iman posted a photo of Junie holding a drawing. Just a kid's scribble, all colorful lines and hearts, but at the bottom it read, "I love mommy and daddy." He captioned it, "She keeps us grounded. She keeps us human." It was his first public acknowledgement since the fight, and it sent a wave of emotions across social media. Some felt he was trying to heal the situation. Others thought it was damage control. But one thing was clear, Junie was now the emotional heartbeat of this story. Insiders claimed the couple had started therapy. Not just couples counseling, but individual sessions too. They want to be better for her, one person said. Whether they stay together or not, they want to co-parent in peace. That detail, quiet and not meant for the public, carried a weight heavier than any headline. Because the truth is, relationships don't always end with screaming or silence. Sometimes they just fade. Sometimes people grow in different directions. And sometimes, even the most iconic couples have to choose between staying in love or staying healthy. Teyana started focusing more on her art, new music, a directorial debut. She posted behind-the-scenes videos with her team, smiling again, dancing again. Fans said she looked lighter.
Free.
But not bitter. Just clear. Iman, meanwhile, began mentoring young athletes, giving talks, spending time with his daughter. His Instagram slowly filled with moments that felt more personal, less curated. He wasn't trying to look perfect. He was just trying to be present. And yet, neither of them confirmed anything officially. Were they separated? Were they still trying? Were they just parenting from a distance? No one really knew. And maybe that was the point. Maybe we weren't meant to. What mattered most, what had always mattered most, was the little girl who had walked into that room during the argument, who stood still, wide-eyed, and saw her heroes falter. Because for her, that moment wasn't about the internet. It wasn't about headlines or likes or retweets. It was about home. And in the weeks that followed, that's what both her parents tried to rebuild. Not a brand, not an image, but a sense of home. A place where arguments didn't turn into trauma. A place where apologies matter more than appearances. A place where she could grow up knowing that love, real love, isn't perfect, but it's honest. In the end, the video that shook everyone did more than just reveal cracks. It forced a reckoning. For Teyana, for Iman, for everyone who thought they had it all figured out. It reminded us that love is complicated, that parenting is hard, that healing is messy, and most of all, it reminded us that children see everything. They remember how we fight, how we apologize, how we show up afterward. So maybe this wasn't the end of their story. Maybe it was the beginning of a different one. Not perfect, but real.